Spring has certainly sprung here at the Hall, with baseball and softball both being in full swing. The baseball team has certainly struggled early, but just picked up a big win versus the Princeton Tigers. The softball team just won 2 games straight against Manhattan to put their record above 500. The women's basketball team has had a very tumultuous start to the offseason after a very successful 2022 campaign. Can the baseball team turn their season around heading into Big East play? Can the softball team keep up their momentum and challenge for the Big East? My panel will discuss all of this and more. My name is Ryan Johnston, and this is Hall Talk. Welcome back to Hall Talk. Once again, I'm Ryan Johnston, and I'm now joined alongside my panelists, Michael Federico and Liam Plate. Guys, how are you both doing today?
I'm doing good. You know, we got a lot of exciting stuff going on here at Seton Hall. Basketball season's come to an end, but still got baseball and softball, so definitely an exciting time.
Yeah, doing well. I'm excited to talk more about baseball and softball and recap the women's basketball team.
Yeah, it should be a fun one, but let's jump straight into it. Starting off with the baseball team, they're just 6-21 in their first 27 games. Been a bit of a rough start for them. What's gone wrong for them so far?
I think it's really been the offense for this Seton Hall team. There's no run support for the defense, and I think that the offense is playing these short halves of innings. That way, the defense ends up spending more time on the field, just tiring them out, which is why they're giving up so many runs. So I definitely think the run support is definitely going to need to be there for this Seton Hall team. So the offense, I think, is the biggest struggle for them.
Yeah, you mentioned their offense. They're being outscored 94-215. That's a 121 run differential. No Pirate is batting over 300 on this team. However, Will Gale is leading the Pirates with a 294 batting average. This is a team that started their season 1-18. Now, granted, they did play a lot of tough teams. They started off playing UNC, who is now ranked 22 in the country, 7th-ranked Florida, who they got their first win against, and 11th-ranked Oklahoma State, who is now ranked 6th in the country. So they're playing a lot of schools who I don't want to say are out of their league, but are definitely a level above them. However, in their last 8 games, the Pirates are now 5-3. So now playing teams that they should be playing, they are playing better.
They definitely have had a very, very tough out-of-conference schedule. Like you said, Michael, UNC, Florida, Oklahoma State, even Mercer. That's a team that I think could be ranked later on in the year. But you guys were talking a lot about their offensive struggles. That was something that was not a problem in their win against Princeton. They won 14-3. Is this a turning point for Seton Hall?
I think it could be. I think that the Seton Hall team, they had 12 runs on 13 hits in that game against Princeton, and the defense played well. They limited the Tigers to 3 runs, which I think is a big improvement from them giving up double digits in most of their games. So I definitely think the offense was stronger, but again, it's kind of one game's not going to change the whole season. It's going to be what are they going to do from this point on, and how do they use how they performed and what they did in this game against Princeton in their further matchups and throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, Princeton is a 2-win team, so you would hope that the Pirates have an offensive explosion against them. The Pirates have been shut out 5 times this season and have been held to under 3 runs 17 times. Now, 14 runs against Princeton is a good start. I don't think it's a turning point, however, because it doesn't take one game. This is a very long season. This team's going to play 40, 50 games. It's going to take a lot more than a 14-run game against a 2-win team for them to really turn around the season.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, they've got a tough opponent coming up next in Xavier. Xavier's 15-15 on the year. They've beaten the likes of South Carolina. Very, very scrappy, tough squad. How do you see that series going?
Like you mentioned, it's going to be a tough one. You have a 15-15 team. They're 500 here for Xavier, and they have big wins in South Carolina. South Carolina is a great team. All those SEC schools are pretty good. So I definitely think the Pirates, if they keep the momentum going from this Princeton game, they could maybe squeak out 1 win from that series. I don't think they can win the entire thing, so I'm thinking 1 win for the Pirates to go with 2 losses.
Yeah, you mentioned all these Northeast teams. It's tough for them to play, teams that are their level because they have to go down south, especially when the season starts in February, where the warmer weather is. Xavier has played a lot of good teams, just like Seton Hall. They've played Alabama, Oregon State, Louisville, and even Coastal Carolina, who won the World Series a couple years ago. Xavier is a very good team. They swept Cincinnati. So if that just shows you what kind of team this Xavier team is, they can play with the top dogs in the country.
It's definitely going to be a very tough matchup for Seton Hall. I hope they can get at least one. Like you guys are saying, there's a lot of fresh faces in this squad, a lot of transfers out of last year, so definitely could be a difficult series for them. But let's look at a team that's had a little bit more success on the diamond to start out the year. The softball team, 14-13 right now. That has more wins than the entirety of last season. Does this team have a shot at winning the Big East, guys?
You know, one thing I will say, this team has gotten a lot better over the past 4 years, and they have a new coach, kind of a fresh start, but I don't know if I see them winning the Big East. I think that's definitely going to be something tough. They currently sit at 5th place in the Big East Conference, so they are going to have to move up, win a lot more to try and move up in those standings, but the season's still early. I don't know if I see them winning the Big East, but I do think that they can finish within like the top 4, top 3 of the conference standings by the end of the season.
Yeah, as of right now, they are a middle-of-pack team in the Big East. They're 4-5 in the conference. Now, UConn is 21-13. They're 10-2 in Big East play. So UConn and Providence as well, who's 21-9, who Seton Hall played earlier. Those are the two top dogs in the conference. And I don't think Pirates can really jump UConn or Providence just because of how good they are. And I know UConn, they're always good in softball. Providence is on their way up. So if the Pirates want to make a run, they have to make a statement game when they play UConn and Providence again and show that they can compete with the top teams in this division.
Yeah, I believe they lost their first series to Providence 1-2. It was definitely a close series, though, and that does give me some hope for the Pirates moving forward, that they can compete with the top dogs in this conference. But one thing that concerns me a little bit with this team is the pitching rotation. They only really play 2 pitchers, Shelby Smith and Sydney Babick. Aaron Berg comes in sometimes, but she's not really a regular face in the circle for Seton Hall. Does this concern you guys for the Pirates moving forward?
I mean, I have always been concerned with their pitching. We saw this last season, and I think that, I think I saw it firsthand one time. Shelby Smith had to pitch 2 games of a doubleheader. And I was thinking the whole time, she's got to be exhausted after doing that. I think that it is a big problem. They don't have a lot of reliable pitchers. So definitely going to want to look at that in recruiting over the next couple seasons. But it could pose some future issues that, players will get tired and not be able to pitch all the games they need them to.
Yeah, obviously having 2 pitchers on a team, it's a little concerning. However, both pitchers are doing well. Sydney Babick has a 3.92 ERA and Shelby Smith has a 3.10 ERA. So both pitchers they're dealing on the mound. Sydney Babick has 40 Ks to 32 walks, and Shelby Smith has a 73 Ks to 26 walks. Both of them have an opponent batting average of under 250. So both pitchers, it's not like there's no one else out there and they have to go and pitch. They're effective. They're carrying the Seton Hall team, and that's why they beat their win record last year, because of the 2 stars they have in the circle.
Yeah, they've definitely, like you said, Michael, Babick and Smith have been absolutely electric to start out the year for Seton Hall. A couple of young players right there, but there are a couple more young players. A lot of freshmen anchoring this Seton Hall team right now. You've got Lauren Kai, you've got Taylor Hill, you've got Jenna Blevins. How bright is the future of this team moving forward with the new head coach and Angie Churchill?
I think it's extremely bright. They, all these players getting this experience now can only help them in the future, and then a new coach kind of gives them a fresh start to kind of, build on what the success we've seen from this team over the past few seasons. They've slowly gotten better over the past few years, and I think that's only going to go up from here, and especially if they're bringing in these fresh players, that they really can build something great.
Yeah, you mentioned Shelby Smith. She's batting .319. She has a team-leading 7 home runs and 21 RBIs. She's the leader on this team, and to follow her, we have Lauren Kay and Taylor Hill. Kay is batting .317 with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs. Hill is batting .333 with 2 home runs and 19 RBIs. So there's offense on this team. There's 5 Pirates batting over .300, and this team has 24 total home runs. So this team can absolutely mash the ball, unlike the baseball team where their offense is lacking. Softball is picking it up with just 5 players over .300, 24 total home runs. This is the kind of offense that you want to see from this team.
They certainly can mash the ball, Michael. It's been a great start to the season so far for this softball team. We certainly hope that they can keep up the pace, but let's look at a team that had a lot of success this year. The Seton Hall women's basketball team, they've had a bit of a tumultuous start to the offseason with players like Maya Jackson, Skylar Treadwell, and Cortesia Dean all announcing that they'll be leaving Seton Hall in the coming year, and they've had a few players come in as well after finishing second in the WNIT earlier this season. What do you guys think that second place finish means for Seton Hall moving forward? And let's take a look at next year. How do you guys think they're going to do?
I think it's a special season for the Pirates. This is a team that they were 8-10 at one point in the season. I don't think postseason was really an expectation at that point for this Pirates team before they went on that big winning streak to end the season and had a great Big East tournament. So I definitely think it's a special year. It is a shame that they weren't able to get the job done in South Dakota, but that was a very hostile environment to play in, a sold-out crowd, all pretty much South Dakota State fans in that one in Brookings. So I definitely think that it is a bright future for the Pirates. Like you said, Ryan, they're bringing in a lot of great transfers, but it is going to be tough to replace a player like Maya Jackson. I think that she did bring something to the floor. She didn't produce offensively like the Pirates would have wanted this season, but I definitely think she brought something on defense and just to the floor in general that really helped Seton Hall. And then Cortesia Dean was a key player off the bench as well, so I think that's definitely a loss. She'd come off the bench typically after Katie Armstrong, and then Skylar Treadwell didn't play too much, so I hope it makes sense that she would transfer, able to find some more opportunities. So definitely best of luck to all three of them as they move on in their career. But I definitely think a bright future for this squad, and you can only go up from here.
And as we know, you want to end a season on a high note. Now, obviously, losing in the WNIT finals is not the highest of notes, but the path that they got to get there was remarkable. They finished the second half of the season 17-3. They went on a run that I don't think you or I really expected to happen. And that was all thanks to Lauren Park Lane, who averaged 18 points a game, 7 assists, and almost 2 steals a game. She was an unanimous Big East first conference all-team. And she was the energy of this team. Coach Tony Pizzello says, I feel like in every post-game conference of how special Lauren Park Lane is and how much she means to this team. And to think that she's only a junior. So next year, she's going to just get even better and really carry this team. She is the electricity that the offense runs through her. She creates passes. She passes the ball out. She makes plays. And she also hits down big-time shots, as we've seen all season.
It's certainly, Lauren Park Lane was definitely a huge piece of this Pirates team this year, but the transfers like Maya Jackson, Cortesia Dean, Skylar Treadwell, it's going to leave a mark on the Seton Hall team going forward. Definitely a lot of turnaround heading into next season. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. But that'll do it for today's episode of Hall Talk. Once again, I'm Ryan Johnston, joined alongside Michael Federico and Liam Plate. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.